Hi Papercrafters, welcome to another Design with Joe video. I'm Joanne Rogers, a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in Central Alberta, Canada, and I've been designing with you in mind since 1999. Today's video is an edited version of a live recording. Enjoy! Hello everybody, it is Thursday. And it is a Case the Cattie live video day, so I'm hoping that we can get some folks coming on and playing or watching me play. This one, I take one of the cards or one of the projects really in one of our current catalogs, and I will show you how to make it and how to change it up too. I always have some samples to show you some alternatives. So we are going to make something in the spring mini catalog, actually, the one that's going to be retiring here at the end of June. And I thought rather than always doing the annual that might be sort of fun. So I'm hoping that you guys are enjoying this so far. This is episode 4 already. And what I'm doing too is I'm putting it up on YouTube. You can always catch the replay if you have to head off. You've got an appointment at 11:30 and you got to be somewhere. The replay will always be on the Design with Joe Facebook page. And I also do a YouTube, so I edit this a little bit and then put it up onto YouTube, and it'll be posted on my blog too. So there's all kinds of places that you can see it, and you can get all the measurements and you can make these. What I do with these Case the Cattie episodes is I send out a post the day before I'm going to be doing it, 24 hours before, and I give you a picture from the catalog, any catalog. And I just ask people to guess what card you think I'm going to be making or using as my inspiration. And so you put it in there and then your name goes into a draw for the card I do make. So this was the page. I'm not going to tell you which one I'm going to make, but we had, I think, every possible one was guessed. And as soon as I start making it, you will probably, as soon as I start showing the supplies, actually, you're probably going to know what it is, which one I'm making. This is my favorite paper. It doesn't have to have gold or glitter or anything on it. The colors in this paper are my favorite. And I'm going to have to make sure that I have a couple packages at least one package full before it expires, before it retires at the end of June. So the colors in it are just beautiful. The purples and the blues mixed with a little bit of the pink and the yellows. It really, I don't know what it is. It just does something for me. So Hydrangea Hill is what we're using. So here's what I need to make my project. So I'm using Highland Heather cardstock for the base of the card, and it's 5.5 by 8.5, and I've scored it at 4 1/4. Then I have a large piece of the Hydrangea Hill, and this one just has the large hydrangea blooms on it. And this one is 4 1/4 by 5.5. And this is the back side of that piece. Then I have a smaller piece that coordinates with that. And this is 3 1/4 by 4 3/4. And that's the back side of that one. So you can't go wrong with any of this paper. And then I've got some scraps that I had just left over from other designs. So this one is the same as our big one, and this is a different one again. So, and I think that's all I need. So we're not going to use these right this moment. We're going to start with our stamps. And I pulled in a stamp set that I haven't used for a little while. And it's going to be the Peaceful Poppies and the Peaceful Moments. So the Peaceful Poppies stamp set coordinates with the painted labels dies, and the flowers are cut out, the leaves are cut out, and then there's some really cool elements here that we can use for tags. And I really like this one. I like this guy in particular. In fact, I have a blog post coming up with this one showing you how I used some scraps. And so I love this part, and I haven't used the flowers an awful lot, and I thought it might be perfect for this card. So what I've pulled out, I'm going to use this flower right here. And then there is another set that coordinates with that, and it has all the words. And the one that I've pulled out here is the You Shouldn't Have, but I'm Glad You Did. Okay, which I haven't used all that much either. So I'm trying to use some things that perhaps I haven't used. So I'm using Memento ink and that flower, and I'm going to pull in the words as well. And I've got three different, well, the one I make plus an additional 3 samples to show you using some other things. So if you don't have this set, don't worry, because I'm going to show you how you can use other things to make a card. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to use this guy right here, and I'm going to stamp directly on top of my designer paper. And lots of times we don't think to do this. Instead, when we have an open line image, we think we always have to color it in with our markers or our Stampin' Blends or our colored pencils. We don't have to. We can stamp right over top of something that has a pattern. And so this is the pattern that I like. So I'm going to move my flower so it's here and just stamp it down, straight up. And then I'm going to also put it onto the purple or Highland Heather. And then this is Highland Heather and Purple Posy. Then I'm also going to take one here, and I have to make sure when I'm putting it on my paper that I leave a little bit of room for my die. So I'm going to pull that die in and just show you. So this die fits not like that, like that. Helps if I put it the right side up. So I want to make sure that I leave enough room to be able to cut that one out and this one out. So I'm just going to put this one over here. I'm going to try and get the pink and the purple together. And if I get a little bit of green, I'm perfectly fine. So I've got green down here. No worries. So now I would take that over to my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. And you can use either your mini or your Big Boss on this one. And you're just going to cut those out. And I've already done that. So I have 3 right here. And these are, I think it might have been using a little bit different paper, but it's basically all the same colors. So I have that done already. And now what I'm going to do is I'm also going to take, we have to do some die cutting on our other pieces. So the other thing I want to do, I'm going to use my stitched rectangle frames. Okay, so these are stitched rectangle dies, really. These are a staple in everybody's stamping supplies, I think. So I use this one a lot. And the reason why I love it, because stitching is just so popular, but it stitches on the inside of your paper and it stitches on the outside of the paper. So I'm pulling the 3rd largest rectangle out of here, and we are going to cut our 3 1/4 by 4 3/4 piece, pull that off, out of that. Okay, so I just cut it just slightly bigger so that I wasn't going to be wasting any paper. So I'm going to take that and I would run that through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. Again, you could use the mini for this one, or you could use the regular one. So you cut that out, and I do have one of those cut out as well. So that guy's right here. And then we also need to cut out this piece, this big piece right here. So this is the exact same size as the front of our card. And our card, this is going to go right over top and be glued on top. Okay, so, and if I cut it exactly right, then it means that we're going to have no piece that's overlapping or hanging over the edge. So that's that piece there. But before I do that, I'm going to take out of the center of it the same size die as I've just cut here. Okay, so I'm going to take that piece out of there, and this will also make a gorgeous card, but we're not going to use it for this one. So I'm going to cut that out, and I've already done one of those. So let me just pull that in. It's not exactly the same on the outsides, but it is the same paper. I think it actually needs to go this way. I think there is a direction to this one, because you can see here we've got sort of the stem of the tree, shrub, whatever, going into the flower. So I think that it is directional. So I've got that piece there, and then I have this piece that's going to sit inside of it. Okay, now before we do that, what I want to do is I want to stamp on the bottom here. Now I hope I didn't pick a stamp that's too big. I didn't. This one is just going to fit. And so I am going to ink up my words, and I'm going to stamp directly on top. Now you don't have to, but in the sample in the catalog, and let me pull that in because If you take a closer look at this sample, this is the one we're making right here. So we're using totally different paper, totally different stamps, but we're making the exact same card so that you can see that you can change this up and make a whole bunch of different ideas. This one's more for a man, more for maybe your dad or your significant other. But what they did is they stamped right on top here. So they had a white background, so the stamp is going to show up a little bit more bold. They're using Cajun Craze there, I think. We're going to use black. We could use white and emboss it, I guess, but I'm going black because it's just quicker. So I'm like you. I probably, at least I think I am, where I usually have to make a card and I'm running out the door at the same time. And when I'm trying to do that, I want really quick. So this card to me is fairly quick. Not as quick as some because you have to cut out the dies, but I'm gonna stamp directly on top of here rather than have another piece of paper. So let's hope that I get this as straight as possible. And just keep your fingers crossed. Not bad. And then I'm done with the stamp pad. So I'm going to close that up so I don't stick my paper in there. Okay, so the steps now, I'm going to take this first, this frame, and I'm going to glue that down. And I'm going to use liquid glue. Now we could do this too, if we wanted. We could do that, or we could have done this too. But I know that that's not going to really show up great on that one. It's going to show up a lot better on this one. So I could do the green, but I really think, I just love these colors. I think I'm going to go with this one. So see, I get sort of attached to something and then it's hard to let it go. And it was really hard to have Seaside Spray and Purple Posy, those colors, retire because especially Seaside Spray. Purple Posy, I think, got a little bit of a bad rap just because it had a hard life with the stamp pad not being a color that stayed true. So I feel sorry for it, and it is a gorgeous color. Okay, so we're going to put that on. And why I use liquid glue is I have a chance still to move it around. So I'm moving it around on there, and then once I'm happy with it, it's actually not even tiny little overlap there, which I can always, overhang rather, which I can always cut out. Now, what's great about this is that there are stitching lines on the outside, which I like, and there are stitching lines on the inside, which I also like. So I'm going to glue this one down, and I know it seems a shame to lose that there, but sometimes we just have to do it. And I know that all of you watching have designer paper that you probably could pull out and use for this, maybe even this same paper. So what I found doing it, and with my samples I'm going to show you, I like sort of a more muted background in here, but you could always go for, if you want wild and crazy, you can certainly do that. It really depends who's getting your card. So now I just have to place my flowers so I can decide how they're going to go. If I want them to go different, as in the orientation different, or if I want them all the same, I can do that too. If I want to start with light and gradually move to darker, I can do that. So really, there's all kinds of things that you can do that are just going to, even though it's the same thing, because you've put it onto different colors, then you're going to be fine. So really, whatever appeals to you is what you want to do. And I think I'm going to do that one actually. I do like that we have purple, blue, and then we have purple and blue mixed together in this last one. So when I'm putting something like this, where it's a trio of things, if I'm doing it this way or if I'm doing it this way, what I do is I start with my middle one. And I know some people start with ones on either end, but why I start with the middle is that it's easier for me to sort of gauge just with my eye without pulling out my ruler where the middle is. And then I can decide how close I want to be to that middle one. And I do have these words down here, so I have to make sure that I don't go too close to the words, but I've got lots of room there. So I'm going to go about that close, fairly close, and then I'm going to go the same distance on the one at the bottom. And as you can see, these are all going on with dimensionals so that they have just a little bit of interest. And then I'm going to go in, and I think with I think maybe just one, I'm just going to go in with some Wink and Stella, and I'm going to give it a little bit of sparkle. Now the only thing with your Wink of Stella here, this is Memento ink, and it's not completely permanent like Stays-On would be. So you want to be just a little bit careful that you don't go over you can go over it, but don't go over it a lot, especially if you're using really light colored paper, because it is going to smear on you. That's your card, and I didn't need this piece. If I had wanted more, if I wanted all blue, I would have gotten some more out of that one. So there's your card. Pretty simple, really, put together, and I just love those colors. I want to show you the exact same card using different paper. So here it's exactly the same, but I pulled out a little bit more of the pinks, and I have the piece that has, let me see if can you see it on here? No, this isn't really great showing it, but one of the pieces has just the bottom. It actually goes this way, just has the bottom with flowers, and then up above is sort of like sky. And so I just wanted to have that down the side. And here I did use black. I might have wanted to go in with a different color there, but basically exactly the same card, but it looks a little different because you stamped in different places. So that's using that stamp set and those dies. Now I want to show you one made with a punch. So this is out of the current mini again. So this is the Dragonfly Garden, and this paper, and I have to tell you, this paper is not my favorite paper. So I sort of forced myself to use this one, and this one on the inside. So this is a lot busier in my mind than this one. This paper here, especially in the background, but I don't mind it because it looks like the dragonflies are flying through like a patch of, well, dandelions, which, you know, they're a weed, but that's what it looks like to me. Now these ones are set exactly the same. These ones I have motioning, going around in different directions, and I also put the glimmer on them. And here I have, instead of stamping right on here, because it would have been really hard to see this on either this one or this one, I have just a piece of white cardstock. So there's that one, and I have one more to show you. So if you don't want to stamp on your designer paper, there's lots of paper where we can cut images out of. So this one here is made all with the pansy petals. So it's this one right here, and all of the paper is on there, and there's all kinds of colors that you can use here, but I went for the pink pansies. And here I have one that's a little bit larger, and then two that are the same. So sort of not really monochromatic, but I kept a little bit closer to using the same colors. So there's, 4 different ideas for you on what you can do with this. And so my challenge to you is this. I would love for you to make a card using this technique. And it can be any paper that you have. It can be cutouts like this. It can be punches like this. It can be dies. But the only thing you want to think about if you're using stamps is that it be an open line stamp, and an open line means you could go in and color it. You don't want one that is solid because you're not going to be able to see your pretty paper shining through. So that is my challenge to you, and if you put it into the comments here, that would be wonderful. And I would love if you can share this video with other people, and if you could follow me and like it, this would be perfect because I love to bring you different ideas. So let's look at this one compared to this one. It actually looks pretty different, doesn't it? Let me pull it up here a little bit more. So you really can get a bunch of different types of feels and themes for this. So thanks very much for joining me, everybody, and we will see you again next week. And in the meantime, I do have our on-command crafting with our Design with Jo VI Peeps, and that goes every Tuesday night. So if you're not a peep right now, you want to head on over to the Design with Jo VI Peeps and get yourself signed up. And I'll put the link in there for that too. Thanks, everybody. Have a great weekend. We're heading into the weekend soon, and I hope that you have lots of fun crafting. Bye-bye.